Okay, YouTubers, this is the Angry Prepper. So, today's video, guys, we're going to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. Now, the reason why we're talking about him almost 4 years later is that I think, guys, we, the people, the American people, need to start raising hell. I'm sorry, there's so much covering up going on that at some point, guys, we need to just take the reins ourselves. Jeffrey Epstein's been dead for almost 4 years. There has been not one official report on his death. The given explanation is suicide, right? Obviously, he offed himself in his cell with no camera. Now, here's the big problem with all of that, right? This is a high-profile sex trafficking dude, Jeffrey Epstein. He knows all the ins and outs of that world. He knows every player in it. And we're not talking about politicians, guys. Let's forget about politicians, presidents, movie stars, and all. Let's forget about them. We're talking about the major players who move all of these women and kids around. He knows all of them, every last one of them. And so this guy, who's a high-profile individual, his case is high-profile. You mean to tell me you put him in a cell where his camera is not working? They move prisoners for less reasons than that. If the camera isn't working and this guy is a high suicide casualty, not casualty, but a high suicide person that's going to commit suicide who's going to kill himself, sorry. If that was the thinking, if that was the thought process, if you knew that there was a high probability of him offing himself, why would you put him in a cell with no cameras? Now, if the camera malfunctioned at the correct time and then all of a sudden he ended up dead, still it's an issue. Because you don't put somebody like him in there. Secondly, let's take the offing himself off the table. Let's take that off the table. He's a high-profile individual. You do not put somebody like that in a cell where the cameras are not working. It doesn't work that way. And the craziness about it is they think we're stupid enough to believe that. You got correction officers that are going, whoa, we wouldn't have put him in there. We would have found out the camera was out. We don't fucking put him in there. They don't put regular criminals who are at high risk of suicide in a cell with no camera. A regular person. Never mind a high profile guy. Obviously, guys, there's something to be said about what's going on. Now, of course, no investigation, no reasoning as to why he did it, no explanation on how he did it. Right now, obviously, people are saying he did it off the bed and all this other bullshit. But usually, guys, when they do findings like that, when they do investigations, they have like a play-by-play, hour-by-hour, minute-by-minute breakdown as to what happened. This is every investigation ever done, right? In the fire department, when there is a fatality, whether it's a civilian or a fireman, especially if it's a fireman, there's a booklet that comes out probably about yay thick. And it breaks down what happened. It breaks down how these things happen, what happened, and how to prevent it, more importantly. They also tell you how to prevent it. Nothing about Epstein. Then they throw these two poor suckers of correction officers in there. They're like, oh, you correction guys, you're in trouble because you guys were sleeping when he did it. Camera or no camera, that was going to happen, right? These guards don't stare at the cameras. They're not doing that. No one does. Like in the history of guards looking at cameras, they are not staring. They might be off on their phone. They might be reading a book. They could have fucking passed out. They could have been staring at the other screens of other inmates. Maybe they might have been able to catch them doing it. They could have got in there in time to stop them. Maybe. But again, then why would you put a high-risk suicide dude in a cell with no camera? If that's the ideology. So, of course, right, Epstein is now gone, and there's still no investigation into his criminal dealings, into what got him arrested the first time in there. That seemed to have fucking stopped. Then they bring in this Giselle Maxwell chick with her little black book, and nothing is being done about that. They gave us a little bit of a charades of a trial, and then the black book just disappeared with all of the important names in it. Now, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of names in there that don't matter, but there were a lot of names in there that absolutely mattered. And that book went missing. And again, nobody's raising the question because they're like, well, he's a sex trafficking pedophile. That doesn't matter. That sex trafficking pedophile knows all the secrets of the universe at this point, because that's pretty much what it is, right? So again, we are sitting by going, oh, well, another one bites the dust kind of deal, instead of being like, we should be raising hell. It's almost like we should be raising hell for Epstein because we want to know what the fuck is going on and how this is going on. And that's the fucking problem. Now, I like to mention that there's a movie coming out about sex trafficking called The Sound of Freedom, starring Jim Caviezel. This movie's gaining a lot of traction, guys. A lot. I mean, the movie comes out July 4th. Everybody should see it. If you have a problem paying for this movie to go and see it, I will fucking pay for you for the movie ticket for you to go and fucking pick it up and watch this movie. This movie's gaining a lot of traction. I saw one scene in the movie and I was fucking sold. This movie, guys, dives deep into this industry. Really deep. It gets really dark and it gets really ugly. But guess what? We have to see that. We have to know about that. We have to understand how bad the sex trafficking industry is. It's extremely bad. Nothing short of a nightmare for those that are involved. But Hollywood doesn't want to really talk about it. It's why this movie was pushed on its own. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to act like this movie doesn't exist. But us, we're moving this movie ahead. We're mentioning it every chance. Hell, Mel Gibson was talking about it, for Christ's sakes. He's saying this should absolutely be pushed. I wholeheartedly believe we should all push this movie, guys. We should all see it, and we should all get involved at some capacity. Because the only way this is going to stop if we get involved. And guys, if that means beating a couple dudes with a fucking wrench and a fucking hammer, so fucking be it. We need to get involved. Forget about the cops. They're not going to do the fucking right thing because they're under control of government officials. And I hate to say that, but, you know, they have these investigation forces and these task forces looking for this shit. They're not doing enough. Or maybe we can help them out. Whatever the fucking case is, we need to get in there and get in their asses and help them the fuck out. Or we start taking matters in our own hand. The problem with taking the matters into your own hand is that you open yourselves up for a world of hurt when you're dealing with these kind of people. But you got to be willing to deal with these kind of people and accept that risk. That's the problem. I know a lot of people don't want to take that risk because your family's on the line. Anyway, guys, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. There's a lot more going on. They're trying to make this disappear. They're going to woo us with more bullshit, and more things are going to start popping up. There's bullshit malaria. There's going to be another fucking... Everybody's talking about... Not everybody. A lot of people are talking about something popping up later this year. Another disease. We shall see. I think if it does pop up, it's going to affect the kids. It's going to be a major problem for kids. And that's going to scare so many people. It's going to shut down whatever thought process, whatever investigation you had going on, whatever you were going to get involved in. It's going to shut that down immediately. That's why I'm getting my kids ready for the fucking bullshit that's coming. Boosting their immune system and eating healthy. And not boosting their immune system, strengthening their immune system. Eating healthy, just in case this thing actually happens. I'm 50-50 with it. I'm like, if it does, okay. And if it does, my kids will be ready. And the other side of me is like, I'm not worried about it. I'm like, fuck it. If it does, we'll handle accordingly. Because we're not bitches, right? We're part of the Real Nigga Network. That's how we operate, right, guys? Anyway, this is The Angry Prepper. Thank you for watching the Angry Truth channel.